Why does emotional desire feel more dangerous than physical infidelity? Because a body can lie, but emotion reveals, and what's revealed can't be undone. There are moments that never happened, yet live in your memory. A glance held half a second too long. A laugh that felt more intimate than it should have. A conversation that seemed harmless until it wasn't. Not every affair begins with a touch. Some begin with the way someone sees you. He doesn't say much, but the silence says everything. And maybe you've started to wonder, why does he look at you like that? Why does his voice soften when he speaks to you? This isn't about betrayal, not in the way we usually think of it. It's about emptiness, unspoken needs, the ache of feeling invisible in a life that looks fine on the outside. Carl Jung wrote, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." So this isn't about blame. It's about seeing clearly. It's about understanding the hidden terrain of emotional connection before it turns into a story that leaves scars. You are not here to be anyone's escape. You are here to awaken, to become aware of the role you are being placed in silently, subtly. Because when a married man begins to desire you, it doesn't always shout, it whispers. And those whispers can echo louder than any vow. These are the 5 signs. Not flirtation, not of seduction, but of an emotional drift toward you. Let's begin. Subtle changes in communication. It never starts with fireworks. It starts with a voice, just a little softer when it reaches you. A shift in tone that no one else notices but you do. There's a warmth now, a kind of gentleness reserved only for you. Not obvious, not loud, but unmistakable. The words are still polite, but they linger longer. They carry a quiet charge, like there's something hidden just beneath the surface. And that's when the mind begins to wander. Not because you're imagining things, but because something in your body already knows. This is different. What was once routine becomes personal. The way he says your name, the way he leans in just slightly when you speak, the way his attention sharpens as if your presence pulls him in. He hasn't crossed any line, but something in him already has. Carl Jung said, "We project what we repress." And perhaps, in the way he speaks to you, he's not just reaching for connection, he's reaching for the version of himself that feels alive again. You might feel chosen, special, and in some strange, aching way, seen. But ask yourself this: is he speaking to you or to the part of him that feels forgotten? Because when a married man begins to change the way he communicates with you, it's not just conversation. It's a mirror. And you're reflecting something he doesn't know how to face. Emotional intimacy in messaging. It starts where most connections begin these days. A message. Small, harmless, timed just right. He doesn't have to reach out, but he does. At first, it's practical. A question, a follow-up. But then it changes. He sends you a quote that oddly fits your mood. A meme that only you would understand. A song that lingers longer than the minutes it plays. And just like that, the thread deepens. The conversation no longer lives on the surface. It begins to drift into you. He starts asking about your day, your dreams, the way you think about the world. And in that space, quiet and digital yet deeply emotional, you begin to feel it. Not just his attention, but his need. This isn't flirtation anymore. It's construction. He's building something between you. Message by message, moment by moment. An emotional bridge he's too afraid to name. It's never explicit, but it's clear. He opens up slowly at first. How he's been feeling lately. What's been on his mind. Little confessions that ask for nothing, and yet everything. You may tell yourself it's just conversation, but you feel it in your body. That warm ache, that subtle rush. Because even if no boundary has been crossed, the distance between you has vanished. And suddenly you're part of a secret he hasn't said out loud. Not because he's hiding it, but because it's growing inside him, without permission, without plan. Carl Jung reminded us, there is no greater illusion than believing we can separate thought from emotion. And now, every message he sends is more than just text. It's a thread quietly pulling you into his inner world. So ask yourself gently, is this connection, or is this the beginning of something neither of you are ready to name? Emotional dependency and confession. And then, the messages change again. They become heavier, not in words, but in weight. It begins quietly. I didn't sleep well. I had a fight with my wife. I don't know. I just feel empty lately. He doesn't say it to everyone. He says it to you. Because now, you are the space where he feels safe. Not just to talk, but to unravel. And at first, it feels like trust. Like a sacred kind of closeness. You listen not out of obligation, but because something in his voice calls to your empathy, to your softness. But over time, something shifts. You realize you're no longer just a friend. You've become his sanctuary, his escape from a life he doesn't know how to fix. You're the one who sees him, who hears what no one else seems to hear. And being needed like that, it feels beautiful. It feels like being chosen. But pause, breathe, and ask yourself, are you being chosen, or are you being used to fill a silence that isn't yours? Carl Jung once wrote, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that matter. So he communicates with them. To you. Not because he's in love, but because he feels invisible everywhere else. And now you carry something sacred. His vulnerability, his regret, his longing for something more. But sacred does not always mean safe. Because the moment you become the place he turns to instead of turning inward to confront his truth, the connection becomes dependency. Emotional dependency is quiet. It doesn't beg. It doesn't demand. It just leans. A little more every day. Until you wake up and realize you're holding more than your heart should carry. And that weight, however tender it may feel, is not yours to hold. Time and presence as emotional currency. After the confessions, come the patterns, subtle, consistent, almost imperceptible, but unmistakably real. He starts to show up more, not with announcements, but with presence. He lingers in conversations that should have ended. He pauses in places where you tend to be. He rearranges his schedule not for obligation, but for possibility. And suddenly, his routine starts bending toward yours. These aren't accidents. They're intentions disguised as coincidence. He finds excuses to be near you, to share space with you, to exist in your orbit even if just for a moment longer. Because now time itself has become his offering, and time is never neutral. He asks if you noticed his new shirt, if you liked the book he mentioned. He sends a song and waits for your reaction. He's not just being himself anymore. He's shaping himself for you, as if your approval has become the mirror in which he rediscovers his worth. Desire doesn't always come dressed in seduction. Sometimes it is helpful. Let me walk you out. I can take care of that. I'm around if you need anything. But beneath every favor is a quiet question. Do you see me? Do I matter to you? And the more you respond, the more central you become in his inner world. Carl Jung once wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." But he's not looking into his own. He's looking into yours. Because it's safer there, warmer, kinder. And now your attention is no longer just appreciated. It's needed. He doesn't want to be alone in his silence anymore. So he steps into your light, hoping to feel whole again. But the truth is, if someone offers you their time yet cannot offer you their truth, you're not being loved. You're being used as a refuge from their own emptiness. And no matter how gently it begins, that kind of devotion always leaves a mark. Ambiguity and withdrawal. And then something shifts. He stops showing up. The messages slow down. His voice, once warm and open, turns neutral, almost distant. He doesn't explain. He doesn't owe you anything. But you know something happened. You felt it. Not in what he said, but in what he stopped saying. This isn't just distance. It's a contradiction. He made space for you in his world, and now he's pretending you were never there. One day, he made you feel chosen. Next, you're invisible. It's not rejection. Not really. It's an inner conflict playing out in silence. He wants you. But wanting you forces him to face a truth he's spent years avoiding, that something in his life is no longer enough. And most people don't confront that truth. They run from it. Carl Jung once wrote, "A happy life is not achieved by the elimination of conflict, but by the confrontation of it. But confrontation demands clarity, and clarity demands courage." So instead, he retreats, not because he stopped feeling, but because he started feeling too much. And now you're left standing in the quiet aftermath, wondering if any of it was real. The conversations, the glances, the intimacy without touch. You replay it all, searching for proof. But what you're really searching for is closure. Yet closure doesn't come from him. It comes from what you choose to see now, without the haze of longing. He didn't lie with words. He lied with absence, with the sudden void where connection used to live. And the truth is, ambiguity is its own kind of cruelty. Not because it's cold, but because it once felt warm. So if you find yourself in this emotional limbo, still holding pieces of a connection that was never named, ask yourself, was I ever being chosen? Or was I just being held until it became too real? So here you are, standing at the edge of something that almost was, something that made you feel seen, but only in secret. Now, the real question isn't about his desire, it's about your direction. Will you become a chapter in someone else's unfinished story? Or will you return to the one only you can write? Because when a man seeks you not in freedom, but in hiding, that's not a connection. That's a shadow wearing the mask of closeness. And you were never meant to live in someone else's emotional halfway house. You were meant to be met fully honestly and without apology. So if you feel torn, remember this. Love that arrives through silence and leaves you in confusion was never yours to hold. And you do not need to prove your worth by carrying someone else's unspoken loneliness. Let this be the moment you choose yourself, not as someone's maybe, but as your own eyes. Because true love doesn't visit in passing. It stays when it's real. and it rises in the light. Are you receiving love or just fragments of connection? Don't be someone's escape. Be the destination for conscious, whole, and free love. Like and comment on the channel if you're interested in the topic. Echo of thoughts.